Have you ever felt that subtle, persistent pull towards maybe a different life, or found, profound meaning bubbling up from within during moments of quiet reflection? If so, you're already engaging with the rich depths of your unconscious. Today, we're taking a deep dive into the fascinating world of the unconscious, that vast, often hidden inner realm that shapes so much of who you are, how you feel, and what you do.
Yeah, and we'll be drawing insights from Robert A. Johnson's really seminal work, inner work, using dreams and active imagination for personal growth. Johnson offers these very practical step-by-step methods to connect with this unseen part of yourself. It really transforms these vague concepts into actionable self-discovery.
Right. So our deep dive today is designed to not just inform, but, well, truly equip you with a new language for your inner world. We want to unearth surprising connections and practical ways to navigate those powerful, hidden forces influencing your daily life. So yeah, get ready for some genuine aha moments. Okay, so let's begin by defining the unconscious. It's far more than just, like, a place where forgotten memories reside, isn't it? Johnson describes it as well, a marvelous universe of unseen energies, forces, forms of intelligence, even distinct personalities living within you. That's quite a concept.
It really is, exactly. This hidden realm is a secret source of so much of your thought, feeling, and behavior. And it's often all the more powerful precisely because it operates unsuspected. Johnson illustrates this beautifully with a woman who is just enthralled by this great adventure fantasy while driving, completely detached from her present.
Just zoned out.
Totally. Or a man whose boiling anger suddenly erupted over some really petty matter, leaving him bewildered, asking, where did that come from? I just wasn't myself.
That's such a powerful reframing. So instead of simply wondering, where did that sudden emotion come from? Johnson suggests we learn to ask, okay, what part of me believes that? Why does this subject set off such an intense reaction in that unseen part of myself? But, I mean, for someone just starting this inner exploration, how do they even begin to identify which inner part is speaking? It can feel a bit abstract at first, can't it?
Oh, absolutely. It can. But that's really where the journey of inner work begins. This journey, what Jung called individuation, it isn't just about getting better or, achieving perfection. Johnson reveals it's actually a lifelong process of uncovering the entire original blueprint of who you were born to be. That includes the parts you might prefer to ignore.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the aha here is realizing that true wholeness isn't about eliminating your flaws, but integrating them into your total self. Much like, every unique stone contributes to the grandeur of a magnificent cathedral.
Right, right. And central to this journey of individuation, as Johnson details, is acknowledging the inherent duality within us, the whole yin and yang of life, basically. Our minds naturally divide the world into opposites, like light and dark, good and bad, or masculine and feminine. But what's the surprising insight here? I mean, we all know opposites exist.
Well, the wisdom, according to ancient sages anyway, comes from balancing these opposing forces. What's truly insightful, I think, is how our modern world's drive for perfection often forces us to suppress one side, the dark or negative aspects, and that leads to unexpected, often paradoxical psychological distress. Johnson warns that if we try to ignore this inner world, it will find its way into our lives. It'll come through what he calls psychosomatic symptoms, compulsions, depressions, and neuroses. So inner work becomes essential for living in partnership with the unconscious rather than, being at its mercy. And one of the two natural pathways for the unconscious to bridge that gap to your conscious mind is through dreams. Johnson really stresses that dreams are not literal or meaningless. They are masterpieces of symbolic communication. What makes them masterpieces is how they intricately weave these complex inner dynamics and unresolved tensions into vivid, often fantastical narratives. They use images like mythical creatures and unearthly situations to give us direct insight into the otherwise hidden dynamics of our inner selves. It's quite poetic, actually.
Yeah, it really is. And this next part is truly compelling. Johnson provides a four-step method for us to actually engage with these messages from our dreams, not just interpret them vaguely.
Exactly. The first is step one, associations. The key here is to find the meaning the unconscious intends for each dream image. Not what you think it means, but what bubbles up. You simply write down every association that spontaneously comes to your mind in response to a symbol. So, for example, if you dream of the color blue, your associations might range from sad mood to clarity or peacefulness. Anything goes.
Okay.
This step ensures the interpretation is genuinely yours alone. And to deepen understanding, you can also use something called archetypal amplification, basically connecting your personal dream images to these universal human patterns and symbols found across myths and ancient traditions.
Like tapping into collective wisdom.
Precisely. Think of it as tapping into a deeper collective wisdom that transcends just your personal experience. Johnson shares the dream of the monastery, where flowers appearing in the dreamer's cell were amplified by their symbolic role in Christianity and Buddhism. And this pointed to the archetype of the self, that transcendent function that combines opposites. Pretty deep stuff.
That makes so much sense, connecting the personal to the universal. Okay, then comes step 2, application to yourself. And you're saying this is the crucial step, the one that transforms dream work from mere analysis into, well, profound personal growth.
Yes, absolutely crucial. Remember, Johnson insists every dream is a portrait of the dreamer. It's a mirror reflecting aspects of your personality you might not be fully aware of. You have to ask, okay, what part of me is represented by this image?
Right, bring it inward. Okay, give us some of those examples. They're quite striking.
Yeah?
Yeah, like a patient dreamed his friend crashed a car, but it actually symbolized his own power trip and ego inflation at a new job.
Exactly. It wasn't about the friend at all.
Or another man's dream showed his open-minded wife arguing against his attitudes, which revealed his unconscious desire for less opinionatedness within himself. And if you dream of a thief, might not mean you literally are one, but maybe that you've been dishonest with yourself somehow, or perhaps have a repressed fine quality trying to break in.
Interesting possibilities, right?
Totally. Or the liberal young man who, after getting his professional license, dreamed of Richard Nixon, of all people, as a salesman, advising him to manipulate people and sell himself.
Yeah.
The dream was clearly showing him some unconscious attitude about success he wasn't aware of.
Yeah, a Nixon figure embodying that manipulative aspect.
And then the dream of the girl with the sparkling eyes, where a young man's neurosis was depicted by him lying helplessly in the street. The girl herself was identified as his anima, in Jungian terms, the unconscious feminine aspect within a man acting as this powerful inner soul figure.
Pulling him inward.
Exactly, pulling him towards his inner life and religious meaning, enabling him to metaphorically stand up again. So the principle here is always apply the dream inwardly first, even when external people appear in the dream. That's key.
That's the absolute key. Then step 3. Interpretation just involves bringing together the insights from those first 2 steps to understand the dream's overall message. It's not really guesswork. It's more like a natural synthesis. It sort of reveals its own story once you've done the work of association and application.
Okay, it emerges. And the final step, step 4, rituals. This is where you translate the dream's insights into concrete action, right? Make it real.
Make it real. It's about performing a physical act that will affirm the message of the dream, integrating it into your conscious physical life.
Like the college student you mentioned, tired of those junk food relationships, who literally buried a cheeseburger and fries in his backyard with solemn ceremony to renounce superficial involvements. That's quite vivid.
It is, and incredibly powerful for him, apparently. These small, subtle rituals are surprisingly effective. But, and this is a crucial warning, you must not act out your dreams literally in the external world. That's dangerous.
Right. Definitely don't grab a sword if you dream of fighting.
Exactly. You wouldn't take a sword to people you're angry with just because you dreamed of fighting them. Johnson shares a great example. A graduate student, angry with his irresponsible roommate. Instead of confronting him outwardly, he wrote a long letter to his inner irresponsible roommate and mailed it to himself.
Affirming his own responsibility.
Precisely. Affirming his own personal responsibility. It allows the inner message to land without causing external chaos. And remember, the woman with the monastery dream. After associating and interpreting, she gathered flowers like those in her dream and cast them into the ocean as an act of gratitude.
And then the synchronicity happened.
Yes, which led to the remarkable synchronicity of her finding a physical monastery, just like the one in her dream later that very day. Just amazing.
Wow.
Or the intellectual monk, really disconnected from his body, struggling with dream work. His analyst simply told him to go out and look at the bark of 10 trees.
So simple.
It's so simple. A basic physical act that awakened him to the beauty of the physical world he'd been ignoring. As Jung's colleague Tony Wolff insisted, You have to do something with your muscles.
Yeah.
It's about transforming that abstract understanding into a real gut-level experience.
That phrase, do something with your muscles, it really sticks with you, doesn't it? It just grounds the whole process. Okay, so having explored how dreams send messages, let's explore the other powerful pathway Johnson introduces for inner work, active imagination,
Uh,
which is like dreaming, but you're fully awake and consciously participating, like a direct dialogue with the different parts of yourself living in the unconscious.
Exactly. That's the key distinction. Active imagination is distinct from passive fantasy or just simple daydreaming. Daydreaming can often be a waste of time and energy because you're just a spectator, right? You're just watching the movie.
Mhm.
In active imagination, you actively engage the inner actors. You converse with them, you go through adventures, you learn from each other. And this brings a really profound sense of peace and cooperation between your ego, your conscious self, and the unconscious.
Okay, so how do you kick this off? How do you initiate this conscious dialogue? Johnson lays out another four-step method, right? Starting with step one,
Yeah.
the invitation.
That's it. You focus your mind on your imagination, you direct your inner eye to a specific place, maybe, and then you just wait to see who or what will appear. Dante's journey into that dark forest where he met his guide Virgil is a classic literary example of this kind of invitation.
Ah, interesting parallel. But what if you draw blank? Just nothing comes up.
Good question. Johnson says you can prime the pump using specific techniques. You can harness your recurring passive fantasies, the ones that just pop up anyway, or go to a meaningful inner place you can easily envision, like a seashore or that monastery cell again. Or you can try to personify vague feelings or moods by asking them to take on an image. Like literally ask, who is the one inside me who is obsessed? And see what image forms.
Giving it a face.
Exactly, giving it a face. But one of the most common and effective ways to initiate active imagination is simply to extend a dream. Pick up where the dream left off. Jung himself used this method constantly. He met an inner guide he called Philemon, this wise ancient figure who first appeared in a dream. And Philemon taught him about psychic objectivity, basically the ability to observe your inner processes without getting totally swept away by them.
A valuable skill.
Incredibly valuable. Another powerful example is the lion in the study. An analyst was genuinely terrified by a lion that appeared in his dream and wouldn't leave his study. It felt very real. Through many, many sessions of active imagination, talking to the lion, engaging with it, he finally made peace with this powerful, frightening part of himself. And the lion eventually transformed into a bronze sculpture holding a book of wisdom, symbolizing the integration.
Wow, that's incredible.
Isn't it? And remember the woman from the renegade dream we talked about earlier, the one feeling overwhelmed by work?
Yes.
She used active imagination to dialogue with her inner husband, her brother, and that renegade figure who kept driving her to over-involvement. And this dialogue allowed her to clarify her values and actually set meaningful boundaries in her outer life.
So it has real-world application. And once you've extended that invitation and an inner figure appears, step two, the dialogue, that's where the real work begins, right? You consciously participate, even if you feel like you're making it up, which Johnson says is nearly impossible anyway, that it's almost always authentic to your unconscious.
Right. It feels like making it up, but it usually isn't. You learn to listen to these inner figures, even the ones you might initially judge as inferior or problematic. You treat them as potential voices of wisdom.
But crucially, this isn't about just letting the unconscious completely take the wheel, is it? There's a check and balance.
That's a vital distinction. Which brings us neatly to step three, the values, or taking an ethical stance. Because while the unconscious provides profound wisdom, its primordial archetypes, these fundamental universal patterns of behavior and experience embedded deep within us, in the collective unconscious, they are basically amoral.
Like raw forces of nature.
Exactly, like lions in the jungle, driven purely by instinct. They are incredibly powerful forces, but they lack human ethics on their own. So your conscious ego has this vital role to introduce human values like fairness, justice, protection of the defenseless. You have to set limits to prevent these inner forces from becoming destructive.
You have to bring your conscious morality to the table.
You absolutely do. Johnson tells this powerful story where an inner archetypal figure demanded absolute control from a woman, told her flat out, "Give me your purse and keys."
Yikes.
Yeah. Her analyst intervened, insisting she take back control, assert her human values, and refuse to just abdicate her rightful role. This ensures a dialogue of equals where you neither dominate the unconscious figure nor allow yourself to be dominated by it. It's a partnership.
That's such a vital safeguard for this kind of deep work. Okay. And just as with dream work, step four, Rituals for active imagination is essential too, giving your inner experience a physical quality, doing something concrete to integrate the insights. But again, the cardinal rule applies. Do not act out your fantasies literally in the external world.
Absolutely critical. Do not act it out. And if an inner figure happens to resemble someone you actually know, Johnson advises you deliberately ask it to change its appearance.
To keep it internal.
Yes, to maintain that sharp inner focus and avoid projecting it onto the real person. This final step requires all your intelligence and common sense, really, making sure your actions are constructive and honor your deeper values and your relationships in the outer world.
Okay, so this is where it gets really interesting, connecting to some of the biggest, most personal questions in your life. Active imagination isn't just about understanding. It sounds like it's about living more fully and profoundly.
Absolutely, that's the goal. First, Johnson talks about horse trading, this practical, sometimes kind of undignified negotiation you have to do with your inner personalities just to keep your daily life functioning smoothly.
Like making deals with yourself.
Pretty much. Think of the analyst who had to make a deal with his inner spoiled adolescent. He promised himself drive-in meals and movies so that part would let him work in peace. It's about finding those compromises that keep the fabric of your actual human life intact. It's pragmatic.
Okay, that makes sense. Pragmatic inner work.
Then second, there's the walls of Jericho. This is a symbolic method for confronting those seemingly insoluble inner conflicts, or what Jung called autonomous complexes, those really fortified obstacles within yourself that just wreak havoc.
The things that feel impossible to shift.
Exactly. You symbolically march around them by consistently focusing your conscious energy, doing your daily inner work, dream work, active imagination, until eventually the walls will come down. And then you understand what needs to be done. The profound insight here, often, is that your wounds turn out to be the source of your healing. The obstacle holds the key.
Wow, that's powerful. Turning wounds into healing.
It is. And third, and perhaps most profoundly, active imagination allows for living the unlived life. We all have countless potentialities, different personalities we could have been, talents we didn't develop, occupations we didn't choose.
So many paths not taken.
Exactly. And if these are just ignored, Johnson says they can go sour, they can become sources of bitterness or neurosis. Active imagination provides a legitimate inner level, a safe space, to experience these unlived parts without completely disrupting your outer commitments.
Give them expression somewhere.
Yes. Think of the man who, as a reclusive monk by day, lived this full, lusty family life in an Italian village by night, but only in his dreams and imagination. He ultimately discovered this inner life was another valid path to highest consciousness.
Interesting.
Or the analyst who struggled with a persistent beach bum fantasy. Through dialogue, he found this inner hobo wasn't just lazy, he was really a sunnyasin, a wandering mendicant holy man. And this insight led him to find more fulfilling actual nomadic wanderings like travel and retreats in his physical life that satisfied that part.
So the inner work informed the outer life.
Precisely. Even the beautiful allegorical legend of the washerwoman and Our Lady of Guadalupe illustrates this. A nun lived out a whole secular life in her imagination for years, and she did it knowing the Virgin Mary herself had miraculously taken her place in the convent, doing her chores, until she was ready to return. It honors the reality of those unlived parts.
That's a lovely story. And sometimes you say, when you've done enough inner work, you might experience something truly extraordinary. A visionary experience, like an uninvited eruption of unitive vision into your consciousness, a glimpse of life's true unity, beauty, and meaning.
Yes, these profound experiences can happen anywhere, anytime. They aren't usually sought, they just arrive. Like the patient who, while just driving on the freeway, was suddenly seized by this vision of the sun wheel, seeing how all of life flowed from and returned to one single source.
Just spontaneously.
Spontaneously. Or the Mount St. Helens campfire vision someone had of a spinning diamond nebula just appear before them. And when the person asked the spirit man in the vision, what is it good for? The reply was simply, it isn't good for anything, just watch.
Just witness it.
Just witness it. These moments aren't for practical justification or immediate application, they're for profound experience. They don't necessarily need to change anything outwardly right away, but they absolutely change us. They deeply form your character over time, subtly transmuting into your daily choices and attitudes later on.
So whether it's a sudden inexplicable mood or a vivid nightly journey in a dream, or maybe a persistent fantasy, your unconscious is continually speaking to you. It's definitely not just a passive storage space, but an active, intelligent partner in your life.
Absolutely. And the path of inner work through dreams and active imagination is really about setting up a conscious, respectful partnership with this powerful inner world. And Johnson reassures you, the listener, that the unconscious voluntarily generates all the associations and references that you will need to understand its messages. You don't have to force it. All that is required is your work, your willingness to begin and to follow the steps he outlines.
So much to think about there. What really stands out to you listening today from our deep dive? What hidden part of yourself might be calling for your attention right now? What unlived life might be waiting for you to explore on an inner level? Perhaps revealing a new path or just a richer dimension for your conscious journey. Join us next time for another deep dive where we help you cut through the noise and get straight to the insights that matter most.